the beginning of human history, we've been coming up with new methods to battle and wage war, ever since we were first created. For the purpose of providing a lethal form of self-defense, a large number of different types of martial arts have been developed. These are the top 10 deadliest martial arts. But before we start, don't forget to punch the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Like and share the video with your friends, and don't forget to watch until number 1, because it will be a big surprise to most of you. Wrestling. Wrestling, a physically demanding form of grappling, comes in at number 1 on our list of the most dangerous martial arts. Wrestling is said to be the martial art and sport that has been practiced for the longest period of time and stretches back thousands of years. Wrestling may be found documented in the artifacts and manuals of a number of different Asian civilizations, including the ancient Greeks. Throughout history, the strongest and most talented athletes of a particular group of people were also that tribe's finest wrestlers. They often served as warriors as well, and were considered to be some of the most skilled combatants in their army. They engaged in hand-to-hand battle with their foes and defeated them with their formidable wrestling abilities. Take a look at current mixed martial arts if you're still not convinced that wrestling is a lethal kind of martial art. Wrestling prowess is a necessity for success in the fight game, and the top fighters like Khabib and Daniel Cormier all have it. Karate. We rank karate, namely Kyokushin karate, as the 9th most lethal combat art. Since it has proven to be so successful, it has long been the go-to martial art for self-defense, consisting of a simple yet effective strikes intended to eliminate an adversary. Gishin Funakoshi, the creator of Shotokan karate, started the development of karate in early 20th century Japan. Including components from a number of Chinese martial arts and the Okinawan combat style, Master Masutatsu Oyama developed Kyokushin karate in 1964. He was a student of karate who started creating his own form focused on straightforward yet forceful blows. Oyama would be the major force behind the development of full contact karate, a severe match of unarmed combat where the winner is determined by knockdowns or by being knocked out. Semi Schilt and Andy Hug are two of the greatest kickboxers to have ever won the Kyokushin Karate Championships. Shaolin Kung Fu. Shaolin Kung Fu has a fascinating past as one of the oldest Chinese combat systems ever developed. Generation after generation has marveled at the Shaolin monks' combat technique and its potency. Shaolin Kung Fu has shown time and time again throughout history that it is a lethal combat art. Over 1,500 years ago, Shaolin Kung Fu mythology first appeared. The legendary Buddhist leader Bodhidharma oversaw the construction of the Shaolin temples during this period. Bodhidharma included physical exercise in the monks' daily tasks, in addition to their prayers. Chinese martial arts training would eventually evolve into Shaolin Kung Fu or Shaolin Wushu. It has even been reported that the monks who practiced it often used it in war to protect their temples. Boxing. Of course, boxing must be included in any list of the deadliest martial arts. There is seldom a year that passes without a fatal boxing ring accident. Along with wrestling, sweet science was one of the first sports. However, the way we know that boxing was invented in the late 1800s. Queensberry rules started to be used in games, and several regulating organizations started to emerge. Since boxing became a sport, there have unfortunately been many decades with very few safety standards. Over 500 people have passed away in boxing rings as of present. Deaths were extremely prevalent. It doesn't occur as often now because of the safety precautions put in place. You don't play boxing, however, as the adage goes. BJJ, who says a martial art must include hitting in order to be lethal. One of the most effective martial arts on the globe is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or BJJ. It is filled with several methods for either breaking or strangling an opponent. The history of BJJ is undoubtedly already familiar to you, but just to refresh your memory, this martial art is very lethal. The Gracie brothers, Carlos and Helio, created BJJ in Brazil in the 1920s. Carlos began teaching Helio some of the judo techniques he had acquired while studying under Mitsuo Maeda. They discovered that several of the tactics were difficult for the smaller guys to execute. So they started creating their own, more grounded system, using skill and leverage to provide smaller men an equal playing field versus bigger guys. The techniques improved as BJJ was developed further, and more people started taking BJJ classes. Combat Sambo. Combat Sambo is an aggressive variation of the Russian martial art Sambo. Essentially, a Russian kind of mixed martial arts where competitors don G jackets and helmets. It is recognized as one of the world's most powerful combat techniques. Viktor Spiridonov and Vasily Oshepkov are the authors of Sambo. Two martial artists from Russia studied judo under its creator, Jigoro Kanu. When they got back to Russia, they combined the judo they had learned with wrestling to develop their own martial art. They would refer to it as Sambo, and Russia adopted it as its national martial art. Later, hitting was added to Sambo, and Combat Sambo was born as a result. Sambo is as well liked in Russia and Eastern Europe as MMA. Former Combat Sambo champions Fedor and Habib are two of the greatest MMA fighters ever, demonstrating that it is, in fact, a lethal martial art. Muay Thai. Numerous instances have shown that the art of 8 limbs is a lethal martial art. Muay Thai was first used in combat by the renowned warriors of Siam before it was merely a sport. Muay Thai has a history dating back more than 500 years, when Thailand was still known as the Kingdom of Siam. Siam warriors were renowned for using an 8-limb lethal combat technique. The top warriors eventually began to compete in front of the kings during festivals as time went on. Eventually, Muay Thai began to develop into a respectable sport in the 1930s as a result of the impact of Western boxing. At this point, Thai warriors really started to hone their punches to complement their kicks, knees, and elbows. MMA. The most popular fighting sport on the planet, MMA is also a lethal martial art. MMA is certainly worthy of position on our list, whether you watch it for amusement or are searching for the quickest withdrawal online casino. As a result of MMA, we now see martial arts and self-defense differently. We came to the conclusion that the ideal combat system required elements of many distinct martial arts. There existed a veiled tudo in Brazil before mixed martial arts gained legitimacy. Fights with no-holds-barred pitted combatants with various fighting philosophies against one another. Then, the Gracies would stage UFC 1 as their own veiled tudo-inspired event. The organizers understood that they would need to adapt in order to survive once the first events were a success. It would be necessary to establish MMA as a legal sport, which is how it began. Following the implementation of the rules, fighters started cross-training in many disciplines. This would develop into mixed martial arts, a full-fledged martial art. Everyone who does martial arts nowadays is aware that you need to be able to fight anybody if you want to be a well-rounded practitioner, both when standing and lying down. Lethway. If you're unfamiliar with Lethway, think Muay Thai with greater violence and headbutts. It is debatably the world's most brutal combat sport. The only way to prevail in bare-knuckle combat is to halt your adversary. A lethal and vicious martial art like this deserves a prominent place on our list. Lethway, a kind of Muay Thai practiced in Myanmar, is as ancient as Muay Thai itself. Soldiers from various Myanmar armies participated in multiple conflicts using a martial art style called Muay Thai. Early Lethway contests were conducted only for entertainment, much like Muay Thai. Early Lethway champions accepted open challenges from anybody willing to engage in combat. It would eventually become Lethway's official sport, much like Muay Thai is in Thailand. Lethway, however, is distinct from Muay Thai in that gloves are never used in the activity. Additionally, headbutts are allowed, and the sole method of victory was through knockout. Lethway, which is regarded as the world's most violent combat sport, is now receiving greater attention. Krav Maga. The Israeli martial style of Krav Maga must be considered the deadliest of all. When a martial art is created to protect the survival of a group of people who are in danger of extinction, it ranks first. It is not just the world's most lethal martial art, but also one of the most comprehensive self-defense methods. Imre Lichtenfeld, a Jewish martial artist from Hungary, invented Krav Maga. During the 1930s, when Jewish communities were continually being attacked, Imre would develop his martial technique. He became aware that his martial arts technique needed to be improved in order to be used in actual combat. Krav truly started to take shape when Lichtenfeld escaped to Israel to elude the war. After leaving his job, Lichtenfeld began teaching Krav Maga to lay people. It is now one of the most popular styles of martial arts to train for self-defense. And that's how we conclude our list. Out of all these clips, which one was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below and I will handpick and feature your comment in the following video, so don't forget to comment. Please make sure you hit the like button to show your support if you enjoyed the video. It was a pleasure to talk to you guys. Please like and share the video with your friends. Until next time.